Hey guys, what's up? Mike T here. It's me doing a review. I get to, and right now I'm going to review comic books for the first time. And I'm going to start with Star Wars Knight Errant Escape. It's a 5-part miniseries of the main story, which is called Star Wars Knight Errant, which I didn't know. I bought this thinking it was going to be a main series. First time I go in a comic shop. I mean, whatever. The first part, I don't know if the character is related to the person in the main story, because they kind of look alike, but I'm not really sure until I read part 1. In this, the tells of, what's her name? The main character is appearing to try to commit suicide, because this is like back in the old days when the Sith were like ruling the galaxy, and it was really bad times, and everyone, it says there is no peace and everything, but every day, several times a day, people try to commit suicide for a way to escape. And as she's jumping, a guy comes out of nowhere on like a speeder bike, grabs her, and saves her life. And he basically says, like, you have talents, you can be useful to me and my boss. And then she's like, oh really, that sounds really interesting, and she says she'll consider it. And then as soon as the guy leaves, you find out that she is working for another Sith, who is basically trying to wipe out the guy that just saved her boss. So she's basically acting as a double agent. And so there's basically a monologue where she's saying she's working for him, not by choice, but because like she has to. They're basically both getting something that they want. He has information on something that she wants, and he's using her to track down his brother, per se. Then it goes on to just say, like, so this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to infiltrate his army. And then the very next page after this is her jumping down with the Sith forces to invade a planet. With basically, I want to compare them to like a commando unit, basically, because it's basically all hand-picked soldiers, and they're all force wielders, so they're all Sith with lightsabers. They come down, they basically destroy everything. They're basically unstoppable, and people are fighting, and then she tries to save some of the other soldiers, and she actually gets yelled at, because normally people that are working for him don't care about anyone else's lives. They're there solely for meat shields or just to get the other people's attention as a distraction, so they don't care whether they live or die, and for her to save them is like out of character, so they're starting to get a little suspicious. But on the person that saved her is with them, and he's one of the higher ups, and he basically says, like, we need more people like her, and he basically gets in an argument with I don't know if I want to call him a general, but he's in charge, but he's not really as in charge as he would like to be. He's kind of like a commander, I would say. And they move on, and they basically take over the planet, and they're saying there's a special secret mission that she's being selected for because of what she did trying to save people. And they're going to go there, but Odeon wants to rearm on another planet that he visits every day. And then it shows Odeon, who is the Sith Lord that employs all these people, showing like his power, and he can turn people turn their will against them, and shows these 3 guys who don't want to fight against a Rancor, and then he uses his powers to turn all the anguish and pain around in the city, and it basically focuses it into those 3, so that way they'll fight to the very end, till they die. Which they do die, because it's just showcasing his power. They have sticks and they're fighting a giant rancor. And so it basically just introduces Odion, and you actually get to meet him. He's introducing her to Kira. He said the main power for Odion is the reason why he does everything, because he feels like pain through the Force, and so he thinks the only way he can end the pain is to end basically all life around the galaxy except for him and a select few. So that way he calls it more of an affliction than a gift. And he is basically just showcasing his power, and then he shows them what the secret mission is about. It's for a helm, as you can see right there. It's supposed to enhance his power, so that'll make it easier for him to destroy everyone and end his suffering. He and the one Sith Lord, I don't know if he's a Sith or just a general, they're like best friends apparently. And he said he's the only one that Odion like truly trusts. They're all buddy, arm in arm, going to get drinks or whatever. And then it shows the main character looking at the helm, and she accesses the computer to get the information that she was looking for the entire time. And you find out that she was looking for information on her parents, who she thought was dead throughout all of like 20 years, and then she finds out they're alive and that they may be on the planet that they're about to go to find the helm. So it's just a coincidence. Then she's just like, "Oh, Mom, Dad, you're alive," and then to be continued. So this is actually if you like Star Wars, I'd say get it. It's a good miniseries. So yeah, and I actually got part 2. And part 2 is Kira joins the dark side. In the beginning of this story for part 2, it just basically tells what happened to her parents and her 10 years ago. The Odion's army comes to her planet and starts invading. Her mom and dad are trying to get anything and everything they can packed up and get Kira out of there. They see troops coming down the alleyway. They know they won't have enough time, so they tell their daughter to leave, to run, not turn back, go to one of their friends, so that they have a boat or ship or something to leave the planet. But she ends up going back because she's worried about her parents, because her parents said they would be right behind her, and they're not. So being a kid, she's worried about her mom and dad. She finds her house on fire, and all the buildings around it burning, and she decides to run in looking for her parents. She finds her dad's pistol on the floor, so she assumes that they were killed. Then it comes back to present day, and you see them landing on the planet. I thought the ships were kind of corny, because they're basically just the same exact ships from the Star Wars movies, except they're different colors. So I was kind of disappointed in that. I wish they would have had like a little bit more originality. So they were coming through, and they're fighting the planet's armies, and they basically find out where the helm is supposed to be located at, and so they're fighting their way to get through there. Kira shows again that she's not really like any other Sith, because they have a prisoner, and one of the people that she's with, colleagues I guess you would say, is about to kill him, and she comes out of nowhere and says like no, and the lady disagrees, and she's about to kill him, so she comes out and tackles her from behind, which conveniently saves her life, because someone or something was shooting at them. I think it was one of Odion's ships. Again, she gets made fun of by the general, saying like, why are you worried about them? They're here for one reason only, to die and to serve our purposes. And so they find the cave where their readings have said that the helm is at. They go into the cave, and Kira feels like the cave's familiar to her, and so she's just looking around, and she runs away from the other group, and they kind of don't really know where she went. There's a rock that has like an indentation that matches the pendant that her mom gave her, and so she holds it in front of the rock, and a secret door opens, and she pushes through, and then you find like a temple. Find a temple, and there's a whole bunch of rubble around it, and she gets attacked from behind by this weird lady. I don't really know what species you would call her, because I never heard or seen anything like them. And she gets attacked because apparently this is where the helm is secretly at. But apparently she's a family friend, and she's just trying to protect the secrets. So she takes Kira to the site, and she shows them that her parents were here a couple days ago, or not a couple days ago, maybe a couple months ago, saying that their mom and dad have been researching all this, and they've been translating all the hieroglyphics on the wall much faster than any of the architects that have tried before, so they're actually making much more progress than anyone thought was possible. There's a flashback between the aunt and her parents doing the hieroglyphics thing, and she comes around, they hug each other, saying that the aunt tries to say, like, you need to focus more on the task at hand and what's important instead of what you want. Your parents stopped looking for you because they thought you were dead too, so basically they were both looking for each other, but then they figured they were both dead, so they stopped. And so the aunt's saying, focus on what needs to be done, not what you want to be done. That's what your parents would want, even though they're still alive, but she doesn't know what planet they're on. And so Kira's saying, oh, I want to go find them. But she's saying the main task is protecting the helm at all costs, because that'll make it so their Odin's too powerful. And as she's getting into the boat to leave the crater, all of a sudden the Sith forces come in blowing a hole through the wall, and they were saying they were eventually going to find it anyway, and they start attacking. Then the aunt, as a last-ditch resort, had bombs placed all around the cavern, and she had a self-detonation, as you can see right here. She had the button on her arm, and so she detonates it, and the bomb goes off, burying the temple and killing her in the process. Kira and the Sith take cover. Kira falls into the lake, comes up, and the Sith are interrogating her, like, what were you doing speaking with that woman? And so to back her cover, she's saying she was doing research, and she was trying to figure out where the helm was. And then she takes them on a wild goose chase, saying that they're on Scaperos, which is actually where her parents supposedly are, going basically against what her aunt just told her. It's not really her aunt, but I mean, like, they're family close enough to be family, or friends close enough to be family. She actually misspeaks and says they're on Scaperos, kind of confusing the forces. She's like, I meant the helm, and now take me there like Odin commanded. And so then they start leaving, and they're heading off for Scaperos, and that's where part 2 ends. And unfortunately, I don't have part 3 yet. But again, like I said for part 1, if you like Star Wars, if you like the expanded universe stuff, I'd get it. And yeah, just part 2 of 5 so far. It's pretty good. All right, now I'm gonna do a review of DC Comics. And I have here my friend Chris.
Hey everybody.
And he's going to be helping me.
I was sitting here for the past 10 minutes completely mute.
15 minutes, but who's counting?
Oh, I'm sorry, 15 minutes. It's okay, I was watching Stan's rant on the Batman Dark Knight Rises thing.
Oh, you were watching that too? I've seen those. They're hilarious. And so, give me a second, I need to figure out which one I want to do first.
Well, the first week consisted of... I don't remember. Checklist.
Alright, so I guess I'll just start off with this one. Chris, you didn't get this one. He was supposed to get it. I'm going to start off with New 52, number 0 of The Flash.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know really anything about The Flash. Because I grew up with a different Flash than who is in this book. Basically, this is just the origin story of how he got the powers. His dad was apparently arrested for, he was found guilty of killing Barry's mom. And Barry refuses to accept that his dad is guilty of this. And so he comes there every year to basically tell his dad, like, I'm going to get you out. I don't know how, but I'm going to get you out. And he does this every single year on his mom's anniversary, the anniversary of her death. And the dad basically says, stop wasting your time. There's no evidence that's going to get me out of here. You've wasted enough time. I'm the one that's in jail, but you're the one acting like you're the one that's in prison. Goes on to show Barry being frustrated. He looks like a computer of some sort. He's throwing through a window, and then apparently somehow right through the hole, a thunderbolt or lightning comes through the hole conveniently, and it electrocutes him. And he thinks he's going to die, so he's talking to himself like, Mom, I'll see you soon. But I always thought Dad was innocent. And then it goes to a flashback on this page of how his mom died.
Artwork is beautiful in that book.
It is pretty good. So you see the kid walking, then you go to him being in the hospital. His bandages are covering him, and there's some guy, I guess like his boss or whatever, from his work, saying like, we care about you, we're thinking about you, you may be the new guy, and everything, but we do care about you and everything, so pull through this, come on, you know you can. Some lady comes in, I guess her name is Karen, or Care. He's thinking of Barry's doing flashbacks in his head, saying like, I'm not hungry, Mom, blah, 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 blah. Her mom's going back to a flashback of when he was a little boy, entering a spelling bee. And this was apparently like the last time that they were like together, because he's getting ready for the spelling bee. His mom's putting on his tie and everything, dressing him up, and he's like, oh, I'm so nervous, and she's reassuring him. His dad comes in saying like, hurry up, we gotta go. The dad speaks to the mom for a bit. His mom has to work a double shift. And then it comes back to present day with an officer coming in and saying like he's made captain. And again, I don't really know anything about Flash, but Captain Daryl Fry is what his name is, because he just got captain, so he's talking to Barry, and they're pretty close apparently, because he's saying, I want to share the news with you. I need my family emphasis on family, to hear it. So apparently they're very close. You'll find out later in this book how close that they are, because he was the officer that was at the house when Barry got home from convenient enough, a comic book shop, because he wanted to buy a comic while his mom and dad were talking. So he gets back, his mom's dead, the officer is the same one that's talking to him in the hospital, consoling him, and he basically, after the flashback, he basically takes him in, so we're safe for him to be, At the end of the flashback, you see Barry. Apparently, he got out of bed and he found out he had the powers. He's running, and he wakes up in Africa, and he's slow to realize that he's in Africa, and where he's like, where did my dad and Daryl let me go on for so long trying to figure this out? What was the point? What do I do now? The last thing he thinks about is, where the hell am I? And he wakes up in the mountains in East Africa. And about 3 weeks later, they said, he's back to normalcy in the city where he belongs, talking to Captain, which is basically his father figure, which is his dad, basically. He even says, you might be more of a father to me than his real dad ever was, maybe even more. And then he apparently finds the badge for him from the first year he was on the police force, kind of making a pun. He found it as he was running around. They basically describing how he came up with the suit design, and then coming to his dad one last time saying, like, this is going to be the last time I come to visit you because I've finally moved on from the past. Now he's got to look into the future. And then it shows while he's talking, it shows a flashback of Flash stopping some bank robbers and putting them in jail. While one of them tries to break out of the officer's grip, he basically says, you're not escaping like this. His dad tries to escape, but he talks his dad out of it, saying, you are going to get out of here, but not like this. When you leave this prison, you're going to leave as a free man, and I'm going to find the evidence to help you do that. And so that goes on, and he goes to his mother's grave, and the very end, I am the Flash, fastest man alive. And that's the end of Flash number 0. I thought it was a pretty good book. I mean, granted, I don't know anything really about Flash besides what I just read in this one. I don't know if Chris has a different opinion.
I didn't get to read it yet, so all I can say is I'm actually thinking of getting back into the Flash, because a lot of people are talking about the Flash. So I'm probably going to jump into the Flash again as soon as I get my 0 issue.
He was actually supposed to get it. Check out Dark Avenger C86, Dark Avenger Inc. He and a whole bunch of other people do comic book reviews, comic book related videos. He was actually supposed to get Flash, what was it, last Friday?
Yeah, this past Friday, last Friday.
Last Friday, and his order got messed up, so he wasn't able to get it. And so he missed out on Flash.
Well, I got it in my card, I just have to make the order.
Yeah, he's got to get it in like 2 weeks, so yep, you can find probably more in-depth, better review in about 2 or 3 weeks from Dark Avenger.
Better review, but I'm probably gonna do it for Ink, yeah.
And then next that I got, this basically, you're gonna see a theme after this. Here is number 0 of Batman.
I got that.
Alright, so we're actually gonna have 2 different opinions on here. And Batman.
Possibly.
And Chris grabbing his comic. The way it starts out is you see a picture. This is about 6 years ago, apparently. He's telling a story 6 years ago, Gotham City Bank, blah blah blah, telling how it was like an iconic part of the city. They tore it down, and apparently they're building a new bank, and this is kind of like the opening party. So there's a cake that's in the shape of the old Gotham Bank, kind of making a joke out of it. And he's like, try the coffee, get some cake, blah blah blah. There's saying the cake's delicious. There's a knock on the door, and the Red Hood and the Red Hood gang break into the bank, and they basically hold the place up. They're about to rob the bank. Only one guy really tries to stand up to them, and the main guy, Red Hood, tells one of his minions, lackeys, whatever you want to call them, to, quote, put him down. And so he knocks him over the head, cuts him open, and has him go unconscious. And he makes a comment, "Oh look, his skull broke my gun." And Red Hood tosses him his gun, and he's like, "Thank you." And then Red Hood tells him to put it to your head. And the minion's confused because he's like, "Why? Why would you have me do that? What are you doing?" And then Red Hood pulls out what appears to be an Uzi, puts it to his head, and he's like, "Do it now. Take off the mask." And you take it off, and it turns out it's Bruce Wayne. No one knows it's Bruce Wayne because he is apparently supposed to be out of the city. He's trying to infiltrate the gang, and he's saying, Red Hood goes on to say, Red Hood 5, which is the guy he's impersonating, enjoys killing. He would never have hit the person over the head when he could have shot him. And and Bruce tries to say, "But what if I would have shot him?" The noise, and he's like, and it shows when he tossed the gun, he caught it with his right hand, and he says, and Red Hood 5 is left-handed. So it's clear that he's imitating.
He messed it up. Batman screwed up.
Yeah, Batman screwed up, and that's probably going to be the only time that ever happens. And they're basically saying, like, whoever you are, policeman or not, you're not one of the gang, so we're going to have to do something with you. It's like, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to blow your brains out right here, right now. And then if you don't, we're basically going to do the same thing, but make it much more painful. And then Bruce tries to say, well, as long as everyone doesn't get hurt. But apparently the cake that everyone was eating was poisoned the day before, so there's no real reason. Bruce puts the gun into his mouth, and he's taking time, and he's like, "Come on, this is getting old." Then Bruce makes a Batman remark saying, "Oh, let me make it new for you." And he pulls out his kung fu and he hits Red Hood in the face with his gun. And in his mind he's going, "That was stupid, Bruce. That was stupid. You should have done your homework." And basically it's just him thinking to himself, like, "Well, you should have known better." Alfred's gotta basically say, "I told you so." And it's basically him fighting his way out of the bank to avoid being killed. He somehow makes it out. He, what was that, a grenade or something? Yeah, smoke grenade or something.
It was a gas bomb.
Gas bomb. He runs out of the bank. The police are telling him to freeze, and then they start to open fire because the Red Hood gang is right behind him. And so he's running. Bullets are flying from both sides. He dives under a car. The cops are looking for him, and apparently he went into a conveniently placed sewer main, and that leads to a
makeshift Batcave.
Yeah, he hops on the Batcycle while the Red Hood follows him, and he makes it to the other makeshift Batcave, and goes on to say, "But if you're going to enter from the south, this is when Alfred comes in. You have to prepare more. We should go back to Wayne Manor." And because apparently this isn't Wayne Manor, this is a base of operations that Bruce Wayne, made in Crime Alley, either a few feet or a few yards away from where Bruce's mom and dad died. And so it stands for it's a significant symbol, saying he wants to turn the tide of crime in the city, starting from the point where my family was murdered. And it goes on showing like he's not Batman yet. He's still developing like the technology. It shows an early version of what I can only assume is an early version of a Batarang.
Yeah. A Batarang with a timer.
Yeah, and so he can throw it. It'll stick to something, and he can set it for 30 seconds or something. It'll stick to the point for 30 seconds. Come back to Bruce or Batman whenever he decides to use it. Commissioner Gordon.
Into the next story when they go back. They're going to do this story in the middle of next year. I have a feeling that this boomerang is going to somehow play a key part in that story.
And then Commissioner Gordon comes up is he commissioner at this point? I can't remember if they...
Lieutenant Gordon.
Lieutenant Gordon. He comes up and he's like, I just wanted to have a brief chat.
Right here. It says right here, Lieutenant.
Yeah, I saw that the, let's see, right, I don't know if you guys can see it. It'll say, like, right by my finger, it should say Lieutenant Gordon. This is right after Bruce was testing how long the boomerang would stick, so he put it for 4 minutes, and then Gordon comes up and is having a nice little chat with him. All the while the timers keeping going down, basically saying, you came back to town and you had kind of a weird place to set up your base of operations. There's a lot of crime going on, vigilantes everywhere, criminals everywhere. I just want to make sure you stay out of trouble. They're kind of maybe hinting and joking that Gordon thinks something's up, because it always seems in all the other Batman comics that he kind of knew. I don't know if you would agree, like in the other comics, Chris, or TV shows, that Gordon kind of knew, but he didn't know that Bruce Wayne was Batman.
Yeah, Gordon always has this suspicion, but I don't know. In the cartoon, especially, they kind of dumbed him out to knowing that. In the comic book here, more along the lines, he has that suspicion.
Yeah, so he's having this. He's having the suspicion, and he's like blah 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 blah. Want to make sure you're not in any trouble. Kind of hinting like, I want to make sure you're not.
In the future, that I believe. Before he retires and Barbara takes over for him at Gotham PD, he finds out that Bruce Wayne actually is Batman, I believe.
Excuse me. So apparently he does find out eventually, for a matter of fact, and he decides to have a little smoke break while talking to Bruce, trying to elongating the conversation. Bruce is trying to hurry it up because the timer is ticking down more and more before the boomerang comes back. So there's more. They talk about the Red Hood gang, and Bruce is trying to get him out off of the roof, trying to get him back in the elevator that way he doesn't see the boomerang. So he kind of makes a joke like, I hear you're a bit of a crusader yourself, kind of the Caped Crusader being a nickname of Batman. Again, hinting that he thinks something's up. And then he makes a statement saying like, vigilantes tend to be lonesome, and then in Gotham they end up pretty damn lonely, is what he says. And then as the elevator's closing, the boomerang hits the elevator door. So it means he just got Gordon off the roof just in the nick of time. And the ending page is the Red Hood gang being right outside of the apartment complex or wherever he's hiding, saying like this is where his base of operation is, and Red Hood wants them to blow it sky high, basically try to kill Bruce Wayne, and they know he's there. So his escape plan didn't work. And what I thought was really interesting, it's not part of the main story, but it's in here, it's the secondary story. I know, Chris, I think you like this story better. The middle one Tomorrow, where it introduces Gordon having the bat signal up for the first time. It introduces Barbara, excuse me. You see Tim. Yeah, Tim is the first one. Yeah, the guy, he's in school. And it's basically Greystone Academy. He's in trouble with the principal, and basically he shows his tech savvy by saying like he hacked his system and proved that he's stealing money from the school. And it's show introducing all the Robins. So that's Tim, and then it shows Jason being involved in a robbery. But he doesn't want to kill anyone, so he's like, when they're robbing the place, his partner is threatening everyone, and Jason's telling everyone to calm down. He says his name, and his partner gets a little upset, saying like, what'd you do that for? You're not doing anything right. And he shoots the girl right in front of Jason, and Jason gets traumatized basically, and he flips out against his partner, saying like she didn't have to die, blah blah blah. Blah. He gets into a fight, and a police officer catches him, and I can only assume that he ended up killing his partner, because of what he did. Because he says he shot the woman down the street, killed her. I stopped him. I needed to stop him. And the police officer makes a comment, well, you did the job, son. Doesn't look like much of a threat now, does he? So apparently he killed him. Killed his partner. I don't know if you got the same impression.
I don't think he killed him. I think he just really maimed him something good. Because if he killed him, the police officer would have had to arrest him.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. The way I interpreted it, though, he made it seem much more solemn and like he's not going to be much of a threat now. Either that or he crippled him, or like broke his leg or something. Then you go from Jason to Dick Grayson, the acrobat extraordinaire, and basically explaining his origin, how he's an acrobat. A guy steals a purse from a lady in the crowd, and he stops her, or stops him, gives the lady his purse back, and he makes a comment of like he's got to perform for Bruce Wayne in the circus. And then you see the bat signal on the next page, and you see Tim Drake. I just said his name too. Tim, Jason, Dick, Jason, and Tim all looking up, commenting on the bat signal, and it's basically saying like, "Oh, that's pretty awesome." And then you see Barbara, who everyone knows is Batgirl. Her and her father sitting there looking at the light, saying it's a symbol. Even if Batman isn't there with the light on, people think he is, and so maybe it'll be a symbol for justice in the town, even if it's just a fraud. And you see Barbara just at the end staring at the bat signal, and that's the end of the Batman #0. I thought it was a really excellent book.
One of my favorites from the issue 0 is definitely.
I would recommend anyone to get it. Obviously, Batman fans are going to get it like me. I'm a huge Batman fan, but the story is just really well told.